Good morning. Today I want to talk about overcoming resistance to developing a regular practice of meditation. And I want to be very clear about a couple of things before I get right into this. Let me tell you the things that meditation, a regular practice of meditation, will do for you. It will reduce your anger, your resentment, your pride, your doubt, your fear, your anxiety, your guilt, your shame, forgetfulness, and any attachments you have to particular ideas or past events. In the Buddhist teachings, the understanding is that it will reduce all forms of suffering because these are all created in the mind. And what it will allow to blossom in your everyday life is more patience, more peace, greater capacity to love, more compassion, more kindness. There'll be a clarity of mind, a calmness. Courage will come more easily. You develop perseverance, and forgiveness comes more easily. So I'm hoping that that list is at least a start to helping to motivate you, because when you understand how valuable meditation is, I think this is one of the keys to getting over the obstacles that it is difficult when you first begin, and it is often difficult to establish a regular practice. But it is a method for acquiring happiness. Happiness, the idea of happiness being a sense of contentment that's there all the time. In the Buddhist teachings, they say a mind of virtue. And this is when we can maintain a peaceful mind, even when things go wrong. So it's an inner strength that's at your core, that's rock solid, and life's events can toss you about, but they never affect this inner core. So when we understand and we contemplate the benefits, this poses the question, why would you not meditate? And a good idea sometimes is to observe your own reasons in your own mind, really sort of go in there and observe, what are your reasons for not meditating? What reasons is your ego mind coming up with for not establishing a regular practice? And the other thing you can do is you can overcome these by making a strong determination when you're deep in meditation to meditate anyway. And we will do this in a meditation later in this session. So really the key when developing a regular practice is the development of patience, because it is more difficult at first because you become more aware of just how chaotic your mind is and the type of thoughts that are running the show in there all the time, and the resistance to meditation. So it takes perseverance. But when you start to observe these self-sabotaging thoughts in your mind, the first thing to do is just accept them. They are normal. Every single person on the planet who meditates has had these when they were trying to establish a regular practice. And then you challenge them. You actually challenge the logic of them. You challenge them with what you understand. So this brings you into a higher aspect of your mind, into your capacity to discriminate. So this is your mind that is aligned with soul purpose. So the discriminative aspect of your mind will be able to say, yeah, that's good for me and that's not good for me. That's right and that's wrong. It discriminates. And this part of your mind will be able to categorically say, these reasons for not meditating, these resistances are not valid, or I can overcome them. And what it does is it exposes your lower ego mind. And your ego, we talk about ego, and this is ego with a small e, not the spiritual ego. Sometimes the soul is talked about as the ego with a capital E. So this is more the ego we think of in everyday life. And your ego is the sum total of all your beliefs and values about yourself. So it's how you think of yourself, the sort of identity you have, your personality out in the world. And your ego is massaged by your thoughts. Your ego is sustained by your everyday thoughts, and your ego likes the status quo. It does not want to change. And often the ego thoughts have power over your mind, and your ego is attached to your current perspective, beliefs, and resists any change. So the ego intuitively knows that meditation will change your mind, and it will loosen the attachment to the ego, and it will loosen the control of your everyday thoughts. So of course the ego is going to come up with all kinds of reasons why you can't possibly meditate, because it's very threatened. Eventually, through meditation, many fully realized masters, etc., the ego disappears and the mind becomes the mind of the soul, of the higher self. And these ego thoughts have no power. And this is really where we're aiming. We're aiming to develop a mind in which the highest aspect of us is running the show, is in control, is seeing the world. That's our perspective. That's our understanding of how things are. So there is a resistance, very strong resistance at first, and it'll come up in all sorts of guises. And this is the fear of change. So the ego doesn't want to change. It doesn't want the state of your mind to change. So in meditation, several things will happen that loosen and eventually relinquish the ego thoughts and their control of your mind. And the first thing is that in meditation, you learn to detach from these thoughts and observe them. And you observe them as the silent witness, as the silent observer. If you like, it's your essence, your true self, your higher self, your soul that's observing the ego thoughts. And your true self does this without judgment, but with understanding. And so as you observe your thoughts, you become more aware of those thoughts, and the discriminative part of your higher self, your higher mind, starts to go, do you know what? Those don't serve me. I'm not going to give those in. This is in your everyday life as well as in meditation. Those thoughts don't serve me. I'm going to let them go. That's a thought from my childhood. No, that's not mine. Or that's coming through conditioning of society. I don't agree with that. And you start to take back this sort of power to decide, to have choices in what's going on in your mind. And most people have no idea that they have this choice, this freedom, and it frightens them. They're like, oh, no, 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 no. But when you, and the beauty of meditation is you step into this slowly. So you start in meditation by stepping back and observing your thoughts, just neutrally. They're just running through like a river flowing past. You're standing on the riverbank, observing them. And you come to know the characteristics and color and vibrations of your ego mind, of your thoughts, because we have many of the same thoughts every day. And many of them come from our unconscious part of our mind, their values and conditionings and beliefs that have been installed in there when we were younger. They may even have come from previous lives. And you'll start to see the ones that are self-sabotaging. You'll start to see your own patterns. You'll start to, people who suffer with depression or anxiety or eating disorders or any quite clear disturbance in the mind, start to see, there's a self-sabotaging thought. Do you know there's a lot of those? Where's the good self-affirming thoughts? And do you see how I'm just observing what's going on in my mind? And this is valuable information because these loosen the power by observing, stepping back. You're not your thoughts. You are the aspect of you that's observing them. So you're loosening the power of these thoughts. And you're also loosening your identification with them as defining who you are. you start to realize that you are the aspect that observes them. And this aspect is infinitely loving, kind, compassionate, non-judgmental, peaceful, strong, courageous, and I could go on. Okay, so that's your soul, that's the aspect. And also the part that's observing infinitely loves you. You know, there's complete and utter self-love. So when we connect with that, it becomes much easier to let go the thoughts associated with self-recrimination, to let go guilt and shame and sort of an identification with what's gone on in the past. And we can go down the route of finding our way back through forgiveness. And what you do when you go deeper into meditation, into this observation, is you connect your conscious mind with your unconscious mind. And this is when past conditionings and ideas and beliefs that no longer serve you will come up into your awareness for examination, for clarification, for growth and healing. And the soul almost like, okay, this is the next thing that needs dealing with. This is the next aspect that we're going to re-examine, that we're going to bring into greater truths, that we're going to stand under greater truths. And this is what understanding comes. So in meditation, your mind will change. You will change. And your self-awareness will evolve. And all of this, you don't even have to be aware of any of this. It will just happen naturally. And the other thing that happens is you will experience a peace in your mind that you don't want to give up. Once you've started to regularly meditate, this peace is not just there when you're meditating, it's there in the background all the time. And you're aware that in any given situation in life, you can choose peace or choose not peace, or you can return to peace if life's got a bit crazy out there. If it's tossing you about in the waves, you've got your rudder, you've got your mast, you're anchored in your true self. And this clarity and calm to ride the waves of the storm becomes precious. It becomes something as precious to you as the most precious jewel. And this is when regular meditation starts to become easier. When you start to really look forward to that time. And you can challenge yourself. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself. You know, if you're committed to spiritual growth and your soul's path, meditation is imperative. That's it. There's no softly on this. You either can learn about it or you can practice your spiritual path. And meditation is where these two come together. And so when your lower self kicks off and kicks against that idea, you need to learn to say no. And this is the development of a spiritual will, is to say, no, I'm meditating. No, I'm coming back to the breath. No, I'm coming back to the mantra, whatever your point of focus is in the meditation. And after a while, the lower self just quietens down. It gives up resisting. Same with aches and pains in your body. When you first meditate, you'll be itchy, you'll be uncomfortable, your back awake this way, your neck awake. It's your ego's way of trying to get your attention. After a few weeks even, or certainly a few months of regular practice, your body just calms down. Oh, right, this is time to meditate. And your body just goes, okay, I can relax. And the aches and pains go. And this is why yogis can sit in the lotus position for hours and meditate, because their body is just relaxing in that state and is no longer challenging that state. It's part of your day. It's part of what you do. So some of the reasons why we don't meditate, sometimes, and these are all around fear. Sometimes we're scared of what we might discover. And we can reframe this, that's illumination. That's discovering, that's light. That's a light bulb moment. Sometimes we're fearful of what we might realize about ourselves. That's understanding, standing under a greater truth. And we might just have to, take that one on board. Yes, I am like this. Yes, this needs to change. Yes, I have this addiction. Yes, I'm holding on to this grudge. Yes, and just take it on board. Sometimes we fear what we might become. So there's that fear of the unknown. I define myself as this person. Who am I going to be if I meditate regularly? And this is where we're actually scared, this fear that Nelson Mandela talked about when he said it's not our darkness we're scared of, it's the blossoming of our light that we are most frightened of. This is the fear of being all that we are, of letting our light shine, the fear of our greatness, of our God self, of our essence. And this is a very real one. It can really hold us back, and we're really quite frightened of how amazing and awesome we are, because in meditation we'll get a taste of that. Sometimes there's a fear that we're broken beyond repair. We've done something, or there's so much self-criticism and self-judgment and shame and guilt that this keeps us stuck, and or maybe we think we don't deserve redemption. We don't deserve our own forgiveness. And it will come up, and it comes up for your contemplation and your examination. Eventually your acceptance, and you return to self-love. Sometimes we believe that we can't meditate. Oh no, my mind's too busy. There's too much going on in there. Everyone can meditate. And believe me, even the most profound meditators, when they first started, they became aware of how busy and chaotic their mind is. It's the human condition. And I do believe it's got worse over time, and in recent times, with all the fear and doubt that's about in the world. You're picking that up from other people as well as that which was already in your own mind. But nevertheless, that means we need meditation even more. Sometimes we're scared that we'll lose ourselves. And this is a very real fear, because you will. You'll lose your ego self. You'll lose your identity to who you think you are. But you will gain an awareness of your true self, infinitely awesome self. And this is like the fear of your light. It's a genuine fear, but if we want to grow, there's our comfort zone. Here's a stretch zone. There's the stress, distress. Meditation takes us into that stretching zone, and we discover who we are. Sometimes it's simply laziness. We just don't want to. We don't want to spend the time. We don't want to make the commitment. We want to stay, we wake up in the morning like, no, the duvet's too warm. No, I'll meditate tomorrow. And all the aspects of procrastination. In Buddhist teachings, they talk about indolence, and they have lots of categories of laziness and ways to overcome them. This is your will. This is your determination. And you just got to keep persevering on this one. Or there's little cues I'm going to talk about. There's things you can do to help yourself overcome. Because laziness is just a poor habit. It's just a mental habit. You can overcome any mental habits and install better ones. Sometimes people prefer just knowing about spiritual knowledge, just acquiring spiritual wisdom on a knowledge level. They don't really want to have to apply it, because that means they have to change. And so really they could have, sometimes people have studied ancient wisdom teachings for 30, 40 years and have a vast knowledge, but they don't apply it. And that knowledge is simply knowledge. It's not wisdom. Not until it's applied is it wisdom. And you see, meditation forces you to apply it. You don't have a choice in that one. So that's something to look at if that's kind of in your psyche, maybe. The other thing you can do, okay, let's go through some practical ways we can overcome these resistances. Maybe you recognize some of your own mind workings there, some of the reasons that come up in your mind. What can we do? The first thing is the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. So you keep it simple. Meditation needs to be enjoyable. Okay, it needs to be attainable. It's not something, oh, it's way off. I've got to become an enlightened yogi tomorrow. That's not where we're coming from. And so sitting somewhere that's nice, somewhere you want to be. It might be that you set up a nice environment, a nice place with a candle or some incense, or perhaps if the weather's good, you decide I'm going to meditate outside when the sun comes up, or you make it an enjoyable process. And you keep it really simple, just a short amount of time. And I will teach you at the end of the session a really simple meditation on the breath. So it doesn't have to be complicated, and you just stick with that until it starts to become something you're very familiar with and you feel more confident with. Often creating a habit, some of the things we know, I know this through my background in sports psychology, some of the things we know about creating a positive habit. So the same time and place, and this creates a habit and a routine. It locks into what we call the seventh ray of ceremonial order and magic, and it helps to create almost a ritual or a small. It's not a ceremony, but it's a part of your day that you do in a certain way. And this can especially help if you're not a morning person and you're very brain fog, sleepy in the morning. If you just sort of, I wake up and I go to my meditation stool or my meditation chair, or I sit up in bed, I turn my salt lamp on, or I open my curtains, whatever your little ritual is, have a drink of water, shawl around me, and I sit and meditate. And these things are the things that help you. And then once you're in the meditation, your body just goes, we're here. Thank you. It takes some studies say 3 weeks, others say 6 weeks. I would say 6 weeks every day to establish a new positive habit. So that's when the patience and the perseverance are needed the most, in that sort of time frame. The other thing we can do, and we'll do this in the meditation today, is setting an intention or a determination when you're deep in meditation, so that you're making a commitment on an inner level, a very important deep level. It's a commitment on a soul level that you want to do this. Sometimes you can make a private public commitment. So you can negotiate with a partner, with your family, excuse me, to that you're going to meditate, and ask the ways in which you might need them to support you. When my children were little, I would put a little picture of someone meditating on my door, so they knew mummy was meditating. Only disturb her if it's very important. And also me putting that little picture on the door was part of my right. This is my time to meditate. I'm off limits for as long as they'll let me. So that can, some people will put, you can put something on your fridge, a positive little message about your commitment to meditating. And it's a private public commitment. So you've not just made this commitment to yourself, but people who live and care about you know this is your intention. You can mention it to friends, close friends. You can make it a little bit more public than just in your mind. And when you've done that, it's out there. It's like you've sent it out into the universe. It does increase your commitment, because you're like, oh, well, I said I'd do this. I better do this. And other people can often support you. Or maybe they want to meditate with you, because sometimes people find if they meditate with other people, it's very supportive. Early in the morning, I think, is best. It's harder if you're not a morning person. But the best times of the day, energetically, in terms of nature and the world and energies, is when there's the most sattva. Sattva is that feeling you get at sunrise and sunset, that deep peace that permeates everything, just an absolute stillness where you feel connected to the universe. And the most sattvic times are sunrise, sunset. And this is also when our mind is less busy. First thing in the morning, you haven't got into your day. And the other thing is, it means you can carry the benefits of the meditation into your day. A lot of people find if they meditate at night, they fall asleep because their body's tired. And you start with something manageable. You start with 10 minutes. And if you can build it up over time to 20 minutes, that's fantastic. If some days you don't have 20 minutes, you do how much you have. If some days you wind up meditating on the train, you do. Don't meditate when you're driving. You fit it in because it's precious to you. It matters to you. It's your commitment to you. It's a form of self-love because you're committing to something that matters to you, something that's of benefit to you. And then the other thing is to find a focus that works for you. So in meditation, in order to step back into the silent observer or the silent witness, the higher part of our mind, we need to give our lower ego thought mind something to do, something to focus on. And that can be the breath, it can be a mantra, it can be a particular verse, it can be a candle. And you find the one that works for you. Some people love to meditate by inwardly chanting the Om, for example. Other people, that doesn't work for them. They prefer to focus on the breath. Other people like a candle. I can't do candle meditations. It doesn't work for me. I like to have my eyes closed. So it's all personal preference, but you find the way that works for you. And then part of meditation is realizing that you don't just meditate in the morning and then forget about it. You take that into your day, that contemplative, that lining and centering with your peace. And it's like you will find that if you keep that awareness that you developed in your morning meditation throughout the day, you will stay present, you will stay mindful, you will be more peaceful, your stress levels will just be down, they'll stay lower all day. It'll take a lot more to send you off balance. You become, the meditation starts to filter into your day. And after a longer period of regular practice, your mind becomes quite clear of usual thoughts. The monkey mind, the Buddhists call it the monkey mind, that chatters all the time, doesn't chatter anymore. And your mind becomes a mind that's like the tool it's meant to be. You just think about what you need to think about in that moment. And there's not a whole lot else in there. The rest of the time it's peaceful. There's peace between the thoughts. There's an underlying peace that's there all the time. Now, my mind is like this most of the time now, but I've been meditating, must be 30 years. To start with, it wasn't always regular. It was sporadic, and then it calmed down into a regular pattern. And so this is why I know the benefits, because there's nothing like having peace of mind most of the time. And sometimes, I'll be thrown by life, but I come back quickly. So recognize it. And so you're taking that meditation into your day. And then if you can finish your day just in the moments before you go to sleep, when you're in that theta brainwave state of just dropping down the levels of consciousness, you just have a quick think of your day and you think of what you're grateful for. Okay, so I will go, before I go to sleep at night, I will say, Teresa, I love you, because that's another very self-loving, self-affirming thing to do. As you're falling asleep, you affirm how much you love this being that is you. And then you think of the things in your day that you're really grateful for. And you literally fall asleep in gratitude. You fall asleep with a beautiful open heart and a clear mind. And this means when you wake up in the morning, your mind is a lot more peaceful. You might still have dreams and they might be a bit chaotic and stuff, but there's something about starting the day with meditation and ending the day with gratitude that means that the day in between is much easier and your mind is a much nicer place to be. Some people worry in meditation that they're going to go deep into meditation and they're going to lose track of the time. And this has happened to me because there is no time or space. There's no dimensions in meditation. You're on a different plane. And so if you're worried about that, if you have just a specific time for your meditation, you can get apps. I don't like setting an alarm because then you're jolted out of meditation, but you can get apps that you set a time and you get a gentle gong when a certain amount of time is up. And then you can relax because you know you're not going to be late for work. You're not going to miss an appointment or miss a train or something. And remember that this is one of the highest forms of self-love. But not only that, meditation you do for everybody. Because every time a Buddha made, nature rejoices. This is a quote and from the Buddha. And the idea is that when I'm more peaceful, when I'm more loving, when I'm more centered in my higher self, that radiates out and helps other people to be the same unconsciously. And so that is an act of service to all. And this is why we don't, my kids, when my kids were little, sometimes they would say, Mummy, you need to meditate. They knew I'm a nicer mummy. I'm a better mummy when I meditate. And out of the mouths of babes would come this beautiful wisdom. Yeah, you're right. And then they would support me to go off and have a little break when I was getting a bit frazzled and they were noticing. Another thing that you can do, if your mind is particularly anxious or fractious and you're having trouble settling into the meditation, if you imagine that you are breathing the purest, cleanest, highest quality, silky smooth air. So you're on top of a mountain and the air is beautiful and you're breathing that in. Just the act of imagining that switches the mind into self-affirming, self-loving thoughts and will help to calm things down. So you think of this beautiful, silky, smooth air coming in and out of your body that connects you to life force energy, and it will help your mind to calm down. So the ritual is important. In terms of your posture, sitting with a straight back doesn't have to be rigid and you can be supported. It's to do with the alignment of the chakras, but also to do with your nervous system and not falling asleep. So if you find that you do fall asleep in meditation, usually you're stimulating the vagus nerve too much. And you just need to lift your chest a little bit and lift your chin. And this will stimulate the sympathetic nervous system and help to keep you calm but awake. Lying down meditating, usually you will fall asleep. It's also when you're vertical, you're aligning the chakras and the higher energies can come down through those centers. It's best to have your feet uncrossed. And this is to do with the base chakra and the flow of energies, and in contact with the floor. Or if you're sitting cross-legged in your meditation, you have an intention to ground your energy, to send energy down into the earth so that you are grounded. Turn off your phone, no distractions. You can do it guided with headphones if you prefer. And in the description for this video, I'm going to put a link if you want to download an MP3 where I guide you through a simple meditation. And sometimes you can use that to start to get you into a practice. You listen to that and eventually you won't need that guidance. You better do it on your own. Realize that your mind and your body will distract you more when you first start. Just meditate anyway. Okay. This is part of the developing the spiritual will, the perseverance. So remember, the will is like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. And if you develop it, if you train it, it gets stronger. And that also is a benefit that will carry on into your everyday life when you have stronger boundaries, a stronger will, and more self-determination. Patience and perseverance are soul qualities. So this is interesting. These are required for meditation, and these develop in meditation. So it's a very positive spiral. As you meditate more, you develop more patience and perseverance, and these are required to meditate more. So it's a very positive cycle. The key is not to apply too much pressure to yourself when you're meditating. You've got to enjoy it. So start with what you feel comfortable you can do. Start with short sessions rather than putting yourself under a lot of pressure. We don't want it to be work-like, something to be achieved, a goal. It's not like that. Meditation is more to do with a surrender, a letting go, and a being peaceful with something that you enjoy. So remember, meditation, the benefits continue throughout the day. And you will notice that whenever your mind is not calm and focused, if it becomes quite agitated, or you notice the stress signs in your body, especially if you use the breath in your meditation, it's almost like while you're meditating, you are setting up, you are breathing deep into your belly. And it means, and that brings you into a place of stillness and peace. It means that any time during your day that your mind is not peaceful, your body is not relaxed, you just breathe deep into your belly, and you'll bring about that state again. Bring yourself back to balance, back to feeling able to cope with whatever life is throwing at you. So that's enough talking. We're now going to do a very simple meditation. So sitting upright you just want your chin level. So down, you'll fall asleep. Up here, you'll get a sore neck. So chin level, back upright. You can have your back supported, feet on the floor and uncrossed. Your hands in your lap. If you want, you can hold the mudra of unity. You can have your left hand, your right hand in your left hand with your thumbs touching is another mudra that people use in meditation. You can do the mudra of empowerment in meditation, or you can just let your hands rest however they intuitively do, and often they will rest in a mudra without you even realizing. So gently close your eyes. And just let everything that I've been talking about, just let it go. And I want you to send a connection down into the earth. We're going to ground our energy. So either through your feet or through the base of your spine, imagine you're sending energy down to connect with our beautiful planet. And now we come into this present moment. So just be aware of your body sitting on this chair. Be aware of the feeling of the clothes on your skin. Let your awareness listen to any sounds in this moment. Just let them be as they are. And now gently bring this awareness to your breath. And just notice the breath as it comes into your body. Notice the breath as it leaves. And with each breath cycle, we're just allowing our body to relax, breathing a little deeper. Until it feels comfortable to breathe into your belly. And as you breathe out, your tummy comes back towards your spine, releasing the air. And we just find a rhythm that feels very natural, very easy. Just keep this gentle focus on your breath as you feel your body begin to relax. Now, if your mind becomes distracted by thoughts, by sounds, by physical sensations, just acknowledge that has happened and gently come back to a focus on your breath. And we return to the breath always with an attitude of loving kindness. So the breath is our focus. Your mind will often wander, becomes distracted, it's discontent. But as soon as you realize, you just gently, lovingly bring it back to the breath. And it's the returning that matters. And as you focus on the breath, it will take you into a very peaceful place inside of you, a stillness. And you just let your mind rest in this stillness. And from this stillness, you will become aware of the thoughts in your mind, as if they were just coming in, passing through and moving on by. So you can observe these thoughts. We don't judge them, we just simply observe. And sometimes a thought will grab our attention and we'll follow a train of thought. As soon as you realize this has happened, just come back to the breath. Come back to observing. Now, when you're feeling calm and relaxed, connected to this peace within you, I want you to set a strong determination. And you can use your own words, but to the effect, I will meditate every day. And just set this determination. And you may notice the thoughts that come up in resistance to that. That's okay, just observe them, let them go. And just enjoy this feeling of peace. And now gently allow your mind to relax and slowly arise from meditation. Take a nice deep breath in. As you open your eyes, I want you to open your eyes and just be present to see the world through the eyes of the soul. So just simply open your eyes with full awareness. And take this feeling of peace, this feeling of love, of loving kindness into your day. Namaste.